This is Zach Moss, NFL running back and former Utah Utes running back. You're listening to the Utah Utes Football Digest, the source for Utah Utes football. Go Utes.
All right, guys, what is up? This is Joseph back with the Utah Utes Football Digest. What a game this week, guys. I think this has been a game that we've all been looking forward to for a few weeks now. Utah at home taking on Oregon. Oregon is coming into Rice-Eccles Stadium and going one-on-one with Utah. This is a huge matchup. It's super exciting. Winning this, A, will guarantee that we win the Pac-12 South. B, we beat a team that's currently the best team in the Pac-12 South by, national standards. And then C, we also beat a team that's in the college football playoff right now. They're projected to be. So, super exciting. Let's be clear, guys. We have a heck of a squad. We really do. I think as time has gone on, we have developed a really good team, and things are looking really good for us. But let me also be very clear. Oregon is no joke. Oregon is one of the better teams in the entire country. Beating Oregon puts us on the national map. Right now, as of the college football playoff rankings, Utah's at number 23. Oregon is number 3 in the college football playoff rankings. This casts a wide net if we could pull off this win, guys. Obviously we're going to get the recognition for beating one of the best teams in the country. We're also going to get, recognition from recruits. Recruits are going to think, damn, Utah is really looking like one of the best teams in the whole country. I'm already considering them. I'm going to put them at the top of my list. I mean, there's a wide variety of factors. Also, if Whittingham wins, if we win, Whittingham becomes the winningest coach in all of Utah Utes history. I mean, there's a lot on the line Saturday night. It's a huge game. I'm sure if you guys have been following, I don't need to tell you more than once that this Oregon game is such a big game, right? It's not, as much as we're building it up to be this Goliath, it is not make or break for our season. But I can tell you, at least personally, not to be too dramatic for you guys, it feels like such a pinnacle of the year. Definitely, for me at least, by far the most exciting game of the year. Definitely the game I've looked forward to the most, and I'm excited to break it down for you guys. I couldn't be happier that we are at this point poised to rocket ourselves up to the top of the college football rankings with a win. Let's go ahead and dive in and start looking at the teams, guys. All right, so the first thing we're going to look at are going to be the defenses for Utah and the defense for Oregon. First, looking at Oregon, for their total yards allowed, they are at 378.4 yards per game. This ranks 56th in the entire country. So you look at that, that's a slightly above average defense when you're looking at total yards. And then you look at Oregon's team when we're talking about points allowed per game. That's going to be 24.3 points allowed per game, which is 49th in the entire country. Now looking at Utah in those two same categories, yards per game, we are 58th in yards per game. Oh, no, sorry, wrong number. We are 354.7 yards per game allowed, which puts us at 38th in the entire country. We let up about 25 yards less than Oregon does. And then points per game as a team, Utah, we are at 24.6 points per game allowed. So they're slightly better than us there. We're ranked 52nd in the country. So for yards per game, I'd put us as a good team. We don't allow a ton of yards, 38th in the country. Points per game, we're an above average team. We do let some teams score way more points than they should have, kind of like last week. But I don't want to dwell on last week. I think one thing I've noticed looking into both of these teams, as I've broken down just done my research before I made this video, is the parity, the similarities between these teams are undeniable. Look at that, right? Almost the exact same yard or points per game allowed. I mean, it's 24.6 and 24.3. They're slightly better than us there. And you guys will notice as I keep going through the numbers, there's a lot of numbers like this that are really similar for the two teams. All right. And now let's go ahead and look at the rushing yards allowed. Rushing yards allowed for Oregon is 117.4. They're 21st in the country. They're a little different than us when it comes to what their defense is good at, right? 117.4 yards per game for their defense, which is 21st in the whole country. That's really good, guys. You're limiting teams to under 120 yards every time you play for rushing. Very impressive. And then for pass yards allowed, Oregon is the opposite. So they are 261 yards per game allowed through the air, 98th in the country. So obviously it tells us a couple things there, right? This is a team that struggles against the pass and does very, very well against the run, right? Just so you guys know, when we're looking at these numbers, one thing we need to take into account is also strength of schedule. If you guys look at the strength of schedules there, you'll see that Utah is the 42nd strongest schedule, and Oregon is the 39th strongest schedule. So I think when we're looking at these numbers, all in all, it should be very similar. The actual talent of teams we played, 42nd schedule, 39th schedule. So it should add up a lot. All right, and now looking at Utah, we're almost the exact opposite on how we play defense, right? Our rush defense is 58th in the country at 147.6 yards per game, and our pass defense is 207.1 yards per game, which is 33rd in the country. So yeah, I would say actually really looking at that, we're not as top heavy in one area. We're not terrible against the run. We're slightly above average against the run, and we're pretty damn good against the pass. And I'm sure you guys know, if you're watching these games a lot, just like I do, you know most of those are on big plays. We're usually a bend but don't break, and then randomly there's just some big play. But obviously, those are two very good defenses, right? We're talking about, or at least legit defenses. So I think those are going to be a big part of this game on Saturday. Now looking at Oregon's offense and Utah's offense. So Oregon, yards per game, 441.9 yards per game. They're 23rd in the country. That tells you they really rack up yards throughout a game. That's a top 25 team in yards against the other team. That tells you a lot of different things, right? That tells you they know how to move the ball. That creates time of possession, right? That lets you drain the clock, which we'll talk about how they're a good run team soon. And then points per game, very similar. 22nd in the country at 33.9 yards or points per game. So this is a legitimate offense, right? They're top 25 in both categories. Not only are they moving the ball, they're ending drives with points, right? It's gonna be something we are going to have to at least slow down if we want to win this game, right? When a team is that good on offense, it doesn't really matter how well you play on offense. If we can't match them at least a little bit on defense, we're going to struggle. Looking at our offense, we're no slouch either, guys. So total yards per game for Utah, we have 437 yards per game, so just 5 yards behind what they're doing per game. And that puts us at 32nd in the entire country. Really good job. Really good offense. And don't forget, that's also including that first 3 games or so, guys, where we really struggled as a unit for Utah. And then total points per game for Utah, we're looking at 35.2. Total points per game for Utah for the offense, we are looking at 35.2 points per game. That is 15th in the entire country. This is something I can vouch for when I watch Utah. We have become a deadly team. Once we get into striking distance, we don't choke. It is very likely. I think it is a stat that on the first drive of every game over like the past 6 games or so, we have scored every time on the first drive. So hopefully we can keep that going and make a statement at the beginning of the game. So like I said, right, total yards per game, 437, 32nd in the country. Total points per game, 35.2. So we're really good at getting yards and moving the ball, but then we're also just exceptionally excellent at putting up points on the board. So when we do get a drive going, we punch it in the end zone or at least get a field goal. So looking at those two teams, right, Utah's defense, Oregon's defense, Oregon's offense, Utah's offense. Oregon's defense is really good at stopping the run. Wait, sorry, I forgot to go over the two offenses. So with the offenses, yeah, we went over yards per game and points per game. But now let's actually break down how the two teams move the ball. So for Oregon, they run the ball, right? 232.4 yards per game, which is third in the entire country, putting them at Oregon is 232.4 yards per game rushing the ball, third in the entire country, making them an elite run offense. It is something that we don't do terribly against the run, but if you watch, I'd say we are a weird team against the run. Some drives, it feels like we can stop any team running the ball, and then sometimes it feels like we have this porous, open defense that anyone could run through with a pulse. So hopefully we can figure that out and get a little more consistency in this game, or at least when we do show up greatly and make turnovers, make plays, right? Then Oregon, this is exciting for us, right? Oregon for pass yards per game is 209.4 yards per game. That puts them at 83rd in the entire country, right? That's not very good, honestly. So when we're looking at those numbers, that means what do we need to do? We need to shut down the run, make Oregon throw. That doesn't mean let the quarterback scramble around all day. We'll go over it later. The quarterback's a good runner, and he's part of that rushing offense, but they are a very good running team, at least limiting that and forcing them to have to make throws on 3rd and 5, 3rd and 7, that sort of thing. Creating opportunities to change possession of the ball is going to be important, and that starts with limiting that run. Now, Utah's offense. I'm sure you guys already know what we're really good at. It's pretty obvious. Rush yards per game, 217.7, 12th in the entire country. Don't forget, that also includes those first few games before Tavion Thomas really took off, back when Brewer was still the starter. This is a completely different team. I'd say we're easily a top 5 run team right now. I know last time I looked at the numbers, we were one of the top yards per rush teams in the country. Actually, when I last looked, we were number 1 yards per rush in the country. So we are very good at running the ball right now, and hopefully Tavion Thomas. Whittingham didn't really give us too much information about it, but hopefully that guy is healthy and ready to go when we hit the field on Saturday night. Now for Utah's pass yards per game, we are at 219.3 yards per game, 71st in the country, about 10 yards more per game than Oregon. Nothing special with our pass game, but I think one underrated part of this pass game is kind of like I said about the run game, and I don't like to lean on this too much, but these stats do include the first 3 games, which were dreadful, right? Like, yeah, one was against Weber State, but other than that, it was Charlie Brewer really looking bad. And, I wish Brewer the best, but I'm just saying, let's be honest. And we would rank right now 71st in the country in pass yards per game at 219.3. I would say, realistically, we're probably a little above that, maybe 50th in the country. I'm not saying we're an elite passing team, but we are good at throwing the ball. We have a lot of talent there. All right, the next thing we're going to do, guys, is go ahead and start breaking down these two teams, talking about the matchups. So we're taking a look at it, right? Oregon's defense and Utah's defense. So Oregon's defense, really, really good against the run. Obviously, we're going to want to expose them because they're not as good at covering the pass. But let's be clear. I think establishing the run against them is going to be important. We have played some pretty good run defenses throughout this season. And, a lot of those were Pac-12 run defenses. So they're going against the same teams Oregon is. So I think establishing the run is going to help us a lot and loosen up the pass. I expect us to actually run the ball a decent amount against them, try to soften them up, and get that going. I would not be surprised if we expose their run defense a little, but either way, we use that to make them have to load the box. Then once they load the box, Rising gets to roll out, make plays, make things happen. Now our defense, right? Pretty good against the pass. I said good against the pass. What were we? Pass yards per game, 33rd in the country. So yeah, we're a good team against the pass. And then against the run, we're 58th in the country. I think what we're going to need to do against this team, right? We looked at Oregon's offense, rush yards per game, 3rd in the entire country, pass yards per game, all the way down to 83rd. I think we need to shut down the run. I wouldn't be surprised if you guys saw heavy boxes, at least at the beginning part of the game, right? We see 8 in the box, 7 in the box very consistently, because shutting down this run game, which also includes the quarterback who's a good runner, is going to force them to throw. And yeah, maybe they're better than that number says, but how much better are they than the number says, right? I would guarantee you they're better than 83rd in the country at throwing the ball. But how much better are they, right? Maybe they're 60th, maybe they're 50th. Our pass defense is 33rd in the entire country. So let's load that box. Let's get in their face. Let's punch them in the mouth. Limit them to 2-3 yard gains when they run the ball. Really try to bend but don't break. Make them throw it. Make this quarterback make mistakes. Everything I'm seeing with this guy, his name's Brown, number 13 on Oregon, the quarterback. He is a good thrower when he wants to be, but he also has throws where his form looks terrible and it's just a duck and it's way off target. Putting the game on his arm. Don't put it on his feet. Make sure we don't let this guy run on us, but putting the game on Brown's arm will do nothing but benefit us. And I think if we have that mindset, right, if we're running the ball with the pass, right, we need to make them respect our run because it is one of the best run games in the country. Our run offense should realistically be better than their defense. And everybody knows about Kayvon Thibodeau. We're going to talk about him in a little while. But if we're throwing too much and expecting some of our offensive linemen to go one-on-one with Thibodeau, I would expect to see any pass play, Thibodeau's double-teamed. Every play. And the rest of their D-line's not too bad. But we do have a real method to get success here, guys. Now let's go ahead and dive in. We're going to break down the matchups, break down the game, show the PFF grades, and talk about these teams. All right, guys. Now we're going to go ahead and start breaking down these teams. The first thing we're going to look at is the quarterbacks for the two teams. Honestly, I know a lot of us are pretty hyped on Rising. The national conversation might not be as hyped on Rising as we are, but I think they're low on him. I think even PFF is low on him, if I'm being honest. I'm a big Rising fan. All right, so we're looking at Cam Rising here, 85.3 grade. That's only like 5 to 7 less than the top grade in the entire country. Pass grade at 83.4, run grade 70.2. We're talking about a real playmaker here at quarterback that we have in Cam Rising. I'm sure I'm not breaking any news to you guys. If you've been watching, you guys know that Cam Rising is one of the best quarterbacks in the country. I think 35th is almost insulting. I actually think he is very, very talented and deserves to be in the top 20, top 10 conversation. All right, and now let's take a look at Brown for Oregon. He is their quarterback, and I think this game is going – oh, no, I got to look up Oregon. All right, so I think this game is going to largely – he is going to play a big role in whether or not the Ducks win this game. Okay, check him out. So 80th quarterback in the country. So Cam Rising, even though I said they're kind of underrating him a little, still has a huge jump on the guy. Check it out. So his offensive grade is a 76.3, almost 10 less than Rising's grade. Very cool to see that. The big thing that we need to look at here is a 68 passing grade. That's not awful, but when we're talking about, like top tier quarterbacks and the number 3 team in the country and going up against the number 33rd pass defense in the country in Utah, that's not going to cut it. He's going to make mistakes or make bad throws that we can capitalize on. The scary thing is here, a 76.0 run grade. Now, I think we've all seen how talented Rising is. He only is a 70 run grade. So to see a 76.0 run grade for a quarterback, we're talking about a legit playmaker with his feet, and he is a fast runner. We're going to need to have some focus on him, right? Our linebackers are going to need to make plays on these running backs, and our edges are going to have to do a good job containing Brown. So hopefully we can make that happen. I mean, this guy really seems like he's not terrible. I'm not trying to say he's garbage. But if we can make this guy throw, this could be a big advantage for us, guys. Look at that pass grade. Just don't let him run all over us. But if we can take advantage of this guy, we could see some really great things from this defense. Okay. Now we're going to move on to wide receivers. For wide receivers, we will start with Utah. All right, boom. Okay, so really cool here, guys. So obviously the rest of the receiver group, nothing spectacular, but I think we've all noticed it over the past 3 weeks. It's no surprise to see Britton Covey pulling in a 72.9, you know, a top 200 receiver in all of college football, top 152 receiver in all of college football. A really good run grade for Covey and a really good receiving grade for Covey. I would love to see him get worked in a lot here, right? When it comes to a defense that is as talented as the Oregon is at stopping the run, and as talented as they are in their front four and their attacking 4 linemen, I would love to see us giving some sweeps to Covey, giving some screens to Covey. Let the guy get the ball in space. Let them use their aggressiveness against themselves, and let's, you know, slip Covey out for 10 plus yards, right? That we did a great job of that against Arizona using Covey. I was really impressed. And now let's take a look at, and just so you guys know, we've been talking about it all year. The rest of those guys are not garbage. Vele actually made a really clutch play on the ball when Cam Rising got hit and it got tipped up last week. So those guys all shine in their own moments. And now taking a look at Oregon's receivers, guys. Number 2 and number 3 are by far their best receivers, right? 75.8, that's a very good grade, and a 71.5, that's a pretty good grade as well. I'd say good. And when we look here, right, they're both solid receivers and both solid run blockers. And then also number 6, if we see all 3 of these guys on the field in the spread situation at one time, probably don't have to worry about them throwing to number 6, but look at these run block grades, right? We went over, this is the 3rd best running team in the country. We're going to need to find ways to win these matchups. The good news is our corners aren't, we'll talk about it more later, but you guys, if you've been following the videos so far this year, you guys know our corners aren't great coverage corners, but they're very good run-stopping corners. So hopefully we can take advantage of that against these receivers, rip off the run blocks. I'm sure you guys already see him creeping up at the top there, Tavion Thomas. All right, boom. And check this out. And so this is including FCS teams, Sacramento and Montana State. But when you're just looking at FBS, it's just Damian Pierce from Florida and Tavion Thomas at Utah. And at one point last week, Tavion Thomas was rated as the #1 running back in all of college football. Look at this running back room, guys. We have one of the best, in my opinion, the best running back in all of college football. And Tavion Thomas was a 91.3 grade. Just so you guys know, that is out of this world. That is pro written all over it, dude. And that's why Tavion Thomas's name is in a lot of those conversations, right? The sad thing is, if he keeps playing like this, we're not going to have Tavion Thomas next year. He's going to declare, and more power to him, right? That's awesome. I would love for us to have Tavion Thomas go be a late first, second round. I mean, you know how it is with running backs. You never know where they'll get drafted, but I would love for him to go pro. I mean, imagine how many JUCO transfers, after seeing what we did with Tavion Thomas, are going to want to come play for Utah. But the truth is, Tavion's not the only part of this run game, right? Pledger, his run ability isn't that far behind Thomas's. I mean, this is a two-headed monster that is mean. And I think personally last week against Arizona, Pledger looked real impressive. It really felt like he came into his own against Arizona. Super excited to see how we match up all three of these guys. And don't let me undersell Mekhi Bernard. That receiving ability is no joke. I was banging my head against the wall against Arizona. The play action flat to Bernard was getting like 20 yards a pop. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? The quarterback does a play action. Bernard just flies out to the flat, and then they just throw the little dump off to him. And then he takes it upfield in stride. I would love to see us if this run defense is as good as they say. I'm guessing they're real aggressive. Bernard, I wouldn't be surprised to see him get a few carries that break away for a lot of yards. So, all right, and now let's take a look at Oregon's running backs. So Oregon's running backs, Travis Dye, a very good running back, right? This guy is higher graded than Pledger and Bernard. He's not in the realm of Tavion Thomas, but he is very good. He's not as good of a runner. He's not as good of a runner as Pledger, but he's a very, very good receiver and a very, very good runner. So we need to focus on shutting him down. He's going to be a big part of the day. I have to do this. I saw some highlights. This guy, Byron Cardwell, number 21. Great, not grading out insane, but still pretty good. Really good run grade, really good pass block grade. He looked really good last week. He doesn't have a sample size large enough for us to really know what he can do, but he is good. CJ Verdell, he would be a big problem for us and someone to worry about, but he is actually out for the season. So really, with their run game, at least when Travis Dye is in the game, let's load that box and make them throw. I'm not saying they're not going to be able to, but how many times can they, right? How many times can they face our pass defense and make it happen? A lot of questions there. Can we stop this run? Which I think the answer is yes. If we come correct, though, and I got a comment on one of my videos about being negative, right? And I'm not trying to be negative, guys. I'm just trying to be accurate and give you guys my real opinion. There are times where our defense looks out of place, looks sloppy, looks confused. And like I said earlier, there are times where our defense looks fantastic. We need the really good plays to greatly outweigh these sloppy, confused plays that we have if we want to beat Oregon. This is what it's like at the top of the pile, guys. When you're playing the cream of the crop, you need to come correct. You need to bring your A game and play sound, fundamental football, and then let your talent do the rest of the work. All right, and here we go. Now we're going to be looking at the tight ends for Utah. We talk about it every week, right, guys? By far, one of the best tight end groups in the entire country. You can see a few of these grades got boosted after last week. That was a pretty impressive performance by these guys. Fotheringham, 78.8 grade. He's kind of snuck out of nowhere to become the top tight end in an elite tight end room. Check out that run blocking grade, guys. 77.7 and a really good pass block grade. All these guys have really good pass block grades. And then we got Keithy and Kincaid with 73.7 receiving grades and 78.1 receiving grades. This tight end room in general is one of the unspoken treasures of this offense, right? This squad is so good that they really get a lot of our third down conversions. They get a lot of our big plays. They get a lot of our trick plays. The truth is that making sure we get these guys involved is going to be a huge part of the game, right? We got to keep looking at the matchups before I can tell you guys exactly how we'll get them involved. But if my knowledge is correct, almost every game where we've won or dominated, these guys have been a big part of the game. All right. Now this should be pretty exciting for you guys. As good as Oregon is at running the football, they're not very good at running their tight end room. Check it out. So Terrence Ferguson, Matavao, and Spencer Webb, 61.8, 53.4, 41.6. Other than a pretty good pass block grade, there's really nothing else to see here. This guy's an okay run blocker, but for a team that runs the ball as well as they do, having tight ends this poor is a little embarrassing. Realistically, as much as we do need to stack the box pretty often, we don't need to act like these tight ends are going to be road graders, right? Like, you guys know how our linebacker core looks. I don't even have to bring it up for you guys to know what we're capable of. Like, these guys aren't running over our linebackers. These guys are going to get worked by our linebackers, in my opinion. All right, now let's move on to the offensive lines for the two teams. This is going to play a big role, right? This has kind of been an on and off struggle for our team throughout the year. Let's take a look. So first, the center for Utah. From what I heard, Maele is hurt, and he is playing out of his damn mind, dude. Terrible pass block, but the run block is fantastic, dude. He's 70 grade. That's what you want from O linemen. You know, that is a difference maker on the offensive line. Nick Ford's playing a little better. Very solid run block grade. But just so you guys understand, I heard that Maele might be out for this game in a walking boot, something like that. I know we're trying to hold back the injury news before we get there. Nick Ford, I mean, it looks like he's playing better. He's run blocking better, so I wouldn't hate seeing him at center. I just think it's... Oh, wait. I can't move the guards yet. I got to show you guys Oregon center. It feels like every week we have the undermatched offensive line, and then our offensive line just destroys people in the run game. So let's take a look at Oregon's O-line. All right, guys. Two really good centers again. Like I just said. Okay. Alex Forsythe, his brother Stone Forsythe, is in the NFL now. Ryan Walk, 78.7 run block grade. They're kind of opposites, but neither one of them has a big weakness. So those are two really good offensive linemen there. I mean, you can't really avoid that too much, right? I'm not shocked that Oregon has a pretty good offensive line. Look at that. We haven't even pulled it up, and Jesus Christ. 88.8 at guard. Jeez. All right, let's take a look. First, let's look at Utah. Okay, so Utah, Lamea, and Bills. So what I like is that we don't see, you remember earlier in the season we were seeing a lot of like 50s, 40s for their overall grade. I like that we're not seeing anybody that's a complete liability. And they're all okay at run block, and then Lamea is actually pretty good. He was the one that had that highlight a few weeks back against UCLA. You remember that when they pulled him and then he just ran over number 24? That was a sick play. But and you know, like we always say when we're looking at our offensive line, it comes down to the run block. That's what we're decent at, and I would say for a lot of our linemen, it is what they're good at. So taking advantage of that's going to be important. And now let's take a look at Oregon's offensive guards. All right, boom, Oregon. Okay, so this is kind of nice to see, right? As much as Bass is a freaking animal, geez, dude, like a pretty good pass block grade and then a run block grade that is out of this damn world. He's number 56. Geez, dude. I would love for us to have Devin Lloyd playing right over this guy, so he has to respect Devin Lloyd. Maybe let some of our other guys make some plays, or Sewell. I mean, you let this guy have his first step against one of our lower-end interior D linemen, he just throws that guy off and gets second level on one of the linebackers. So making sure, I mean, I'm going to imagine they're running behind this guy all day. A 92.1 run grade. That's NFL really high level. So, all right, now let's take a look at the tackles for the two teams. Boom. Okay. The good news is the rest of their guards weren't anything, incredibly special. Okay. So, wow. I am impressed. Wow. Am I the only one? I mean, I can't see your guys' faces while you watch the video, but if you've been following every week, these two have kind of been the bright spot of the line, but nothing like this. These are really good grades, and no wonder we were doing so well last week, because these were big jumps from last week. I'd say on average, this is a 6 to 8 point jump for both of these guys. Braden Daniels, number 71, is probably being looked at for the NFL. If you guys have been watching the videos, I've been mentioning him since week 1 against Weber State. And Olaseni really starting to show up in his own, using that massive frame he has at 6'8" to really throw some guys around and make it happen. That is so cool, guys. 330, 6'8". These two have really stepped up. Seriously, that is so nice to see. And I really hope these two can continue these fantastic run blocking grades against Oregon. That would be such a difference maker for us. And both of them are okay in the pass block, so hopefully they do that well as well. So, all right. And now the Oregon Ducks. Okay, this is great, right? I'm starting to get excited, guys. So our tackles looked really, really good, and their tackles looked like dog crap. So a 65.7, balanced but not really special in either one, and then a 50.5 that's let's call it what it is, a bad run blocker, and a terrible pass blocker. Guys, this is great. Honestly, I'm at a point where I'm really wondering, it must be a lot of play calling, designed runs, taking advantage of people's aggressiveness. I know the coaches at Oregon are good, but this is a really good sign for us, guys, that their offensive line has one really special guy, one pretty good guy, then two like below average, and then one that's, basically a liability. Really good news, guys. I actually see really good things happening for us against this offensive line. Like I said, no matter what, our defense still has to play sound, disciplined football. But if I'm being straight with you guys, this is one of the worst offensive lines we've played all year. We have played good offensive lines all year. How many games have we broken down where the offensive line was an average of like 72, 75 across the board? So this is really exciting news, guys. And now we can take a look at how our defense is going to match up with them. All right, so now we're going to look at the cornerbacks for Utah. This is what will start off the defense for us. So taking a look at the corners for Utah, we have Matayeli, Clark Phillips, CP3, Fabian Marks, and Vaughn, right? I know Marks pulled something in the game last week. Remember when the quarterback made that huge run? I saw Marks limping, and he's one of our best run defenders at corner. So hopefully we can get him back out there this week. But obviously, I would love to see Matayeli and Marks play a big role this week. Like I said, our corners are young, nothing spectacular, and they still have a lot of growing to do. But overall, I'm excited to see us take advantage of this, right? This is a decent group. Matayeli doesn't have any real weaknesses. None of them are great in coverage, but none of them are... Obviously, Marks is not good in coverage, and neither is Vaughn. But hopefully we can work those guys in more as run defenders than against the pass, right? All right. And now let's take a look at the corners for Oregon. So like we looked into, so this is not the greatest. Where did they rank for pass defense? Oregon defense for pass yards allowed, 98th in the country, so pretty bad actually. Okay, so they have the one really good guy. They have one pretty good guy in coverage, and then they have this guy who's not really doing much. All right, so this guy is 73.9, going to be someone that we want to watch out if he tries to pass rush, because that is really a high grade for a corner. But then this guy, DJ James, is good against the run, number 0, and then number 2 is better at coverage. Just something we're going to need to watch out for. I think we're going to throw a lot to our tight ends, and we're going to try to make these guys respect the run. I would expect Vele and Enos, just like usual, when we need a 3rd and 10, 3rd and 15, probably throw into them on a comeback or a curl route. And then in general, though, our passing game is going to run through Covey. It's going to run through our tight end group. All 3 of them are solid receivers. So excited to see how we work that in. And now let's take a look at the safeties for the 2 teams. All right, first for Utah. All right, Vontae Davis. If you guys have been following me all year, I've been shouting this guy's name a lot. So Vontae Davis is a monster, one of the better safeties in all of college football. He's rated at 26 right now, but he's been rated as high as like number 3, I believe, like week 5 or 6. Really good coverage grade, really good run defense grade. This guy is such a key player on this defense. I'm sure you guys see it all the time. If you've been watching out for number 9 on defense, you'll know that when the big runs happen and someone needs to make a play, all the damn time, it is Davis. And then he's also, will play him in the box, and he'll get up in people's faces and stop the run. He is a monster. He's going to need to have a big day. McKinney, really, it's about limiting mistakes with him, not trying to insult the guy. Just like I've seen his high-end play, right? I've seen when he looks fantastic, number 28, but I've also seen where it really looks rough. I've seen those plays. So hopefully he comes in correct and sticks to sound fundamental football. A guy I've been keeping an eye on, the reason I did this is these two. I've been getting a lot of reps. We have number 6, Cole Bishop. Very good against the run. Yeah, I'm not surprised. At 87.6 grade. I'm going to expect this guy to be getting a ton of snaps in this game. Now, he's not fantastic in coverage. Pretty terrible, right? But against the run, he is really something special. I'm going to expect, and he's had a few good weeks. He had a couple terrible penalties against him. Really, most of them weren't on him. They were just bad calls. And then Latu, he's been getting some reps too. Nothing special with him, but I'm expecting Bishop to see a lot more reps during this game than he has so far. And that'll help us stop this run game at 87 run grade. Jeez, just so you guys that watch the videos, you guys know how damn high an 87 run grade is. Jeez. Okay, so this is good. This is really good. This safety group is awful. So they have their best guys is 62.4, number 23. Then we got number 7, 56.4. Yo, look at these run defense grades. None of them are over a 60. Imagine these losers trying to tackle Tavion Thomas. Once he breaks through the linebackers, he's getting second level, and one of these guys trying to tackle him. That sounds like something worth watching, right? I really, that's a good sign to see. And none of them are great in coverage. This guy's okay in coverage, and these other two are liabilities in coverage. So I would love to see us take advantage of that. All right, cool, guys. So now let's take a look at the linebackers for Utah. The first guy we got to look at is Devin Lloyd. A huge piece of why we won last week, guys. I know I was giving a lot of praise to Rising and to Pledger, but in reflection, I feel like I did a disservice by not giving a strong enough shout out to Devin Lloyd. The guy, that open field tackle, it's one of the shorts on the YouTube channel here. Check it out if you want to see it. It's a dump off where a lot of linebackers will break down a little too hard and then, give up like a 4 or 5 yard little dump off by, hitting him to the side or just chasing him out of bounds. But Devin Lloyd doesn't hesitate, just flies into the backfield, cracks this guy in the backfield, and makes a tackle for loss out of something that looked like it was going to be 5 yards. Seriously, really impressive guy. And one of the things that NFL teams are probably loving about him, obviously an insane 89.3 grade, but even crazier is the well-roundedness of his grade, right? Elite coverage, elite pass rush, extremely good run defense. Really big-time player. And don't let me undersell Nephi Sewell, right? A monster in his own right. A 77.3. The guy is still young, still has some time here at the program. 75 run defense grade, a 78.4 coverage grade. Really well-rounded individual. Obviously not a great pass rush, but it's not really always what you want from a linebacker. You like to see this, right? And this is the great thing. Yeah, our corners aren't great in coverage, but our linebackers are really good against the run and really good in coverage. Excellent in coverage when you look at those two. And then we also have Fury, very good in coverage. If we really start to pull ahead and they start throwing the ball a lot, he's going to be a guy I expect to get more reps. Reynolds, I wouldn't be shocked to see him getting more reps if they're trying to run the ball, right? Really good group. All right, and this is where in a minute, Oregon is going to start to get stronger as a defensive unit. I mentioned the guy's name earlier, but look at this, right? Their linebackers are nothing special. It looks like they're trying to rotate guys in to find a match, but number 10 and number 54 have good run defense grades, but they only, like, this guy's got 8 snaps. This guy's got 65. I mean, that's a nothing of a sample size. You really have no idea how good these guys are. They could be better in coverage than they are against the run, but the sample size is just too small to tell you anything. Noah Sewell, looks like we got the better Sewell. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not trying to insult the guy, but that is Nephi Sewell's brother, we just went over him, and they're both the brothers of Penei Sewell, who's in the NFL now. He is an extremely good pass rush grade. That's definitely something to keep an eye on. But what I love is he struggles a lot in coverage and is just okay against the run. I mean, if this is the guy that we need to go through to run the ball, I don't see us having the problem. I mean, that should be really exciting when we're looking at these numbers, guys. I thought their linebacker group would be better. This should get you, feeling good about our chances of really running the ball against these guys. All right. And now interior defenders. So Utah, obviously, we've had a pretty young group at interior. Let's take a look at how these guys are doing on the season. All right, Putu Ta'u, real well-rounded guy. Love to see that. Who gives a damn about an interior defensive lineman's coverage grade? You'd love to see a decent run defense grade, decent pass rush grade, well-rounded individual. Honestly, I got to be honest. Junior Tafuna, I'm shocked his pass rush grade is so low. Same with Kafusi. Like, these guys showed up last week at times. I think the thing right now with some of these interior defenders for Utah is the inconsistency. Like, it felt like they were ripping through the O-line at the end of the game last week, but they were kind of nowhere to be found at the first part of the game last week. So, all right. Now let's look at Oregon's interior D-line. Yeah, I think we all knew this was coming. This is where Oregon starts to get really good, right? Popo, number 50. Popo, number 50, 79.6 grade. Pretty good against the run. Really good pass rush. 75.5 for Dorless, number 3. Above average run defense grade and an extremely good pass rush grade. And then Williams, because he has a pretty good run defense grade, I'm not going to be surprised if we see this guy get some more reps. Same with Ware Hudson. It's kind of not a great matchup for our D-line, but our run blocking is really what's going to matter. A lot of our passing is Rising just making ridiculous plays with his feet and you guys see it all the time too, right? Like, I feel like when we look at Rising's run grade, it doesn't take into account the broken tackles he has that turn into throws. So that's going to be a lot of it. But in the run game, I actually think we're matching up pretty well. I don't think these guys should be able to bully us in the run game. So that's good news. All right, guys, and like we were talking about, Mika Tafua here, really good player, 81.5 overall grade, 76.8 against the run, and an 82.5 against the pass. Kind of a guy we're going to have to lean on a little on this defensive line. He's going to be a guy that needs to show up, right? He is a beast. He has had ups and downs throughout the season, but as time's gone on, Mika Tafua has become a monster on this team. Van Fillinger, right? He's another guy, had his ups and downs. Carlton, kind of just not very good across the board for Carlton, no offense. But run defense for Fillinger, I like that that's a 66. I would expect him to get some reps, right? We need our good run defenders in this game. This is all going to be super important for us to win this. All right, now let's take a look at Oregon. Their edge rushers. So, yeah, we all knew this guy was coming up. I'm actually shocked his grade's not higher. So, Kayvon Thibodeau, as much as he is a monster against the pass rush, a 91.2 grade, right? It's elite of elite of elite. His run defense grade is just good. You know, it's not nothing crazy. I actually am really, after seeing that, I really like how it's looking that we might be able to run the ball against these guys. Funa, really good against the run, but I mean, you got to imagine one of these guys is going to go against Daniels, and I wouldn't be surprised for Daniels to really limit either one of these two. And then Olaseni, with the way he's been playing lately, is going to be no walk in the park for either one of these guys. So, I mean, that's kind of where the teams break down, guys. We'll end it there with the whole breakdown. A couple thoughts as we finish up here. There's a lot of talent on both sides of the ball, right? These are two really good teams. And one of them in Oregon is in the college football playoff right now. So we need to bring our A game. This has been the thing with Utah all year, guys. If you want a channel where someone's just going to tell you that Utah is going to go run through everybody they play, go somewhere else. I try to give you guys accurate information and really how I see things going. So with this, what I see happening here is I see Utah running the ball very well against this front seven. I also see Oregon doing a pretty good job running the ball against us, but I think the big difference in this game is going to be the second level ability, right? I don't think Oregon is going to be able to get second level and make huge plays, right? Even if they get past our front seven, we have good run defenders in the secondary with Davis, Marks, and Bishop. I'm gonna be shocked if Bishop isn't getting a lot of reps. I'm expecting us to really see him out there making plays. That was a crazy run defense grade the kid has. I see us being able to take the good plays and turn them into amazing plays, way better than Oregon does. I actually really like how we're matching up against them, guys. So here's my final prediction. I think Utah is able to run the ball down Oregon's throat and still get the 5 to 10 yards a pop. And even if we don't, which I do think we'll be able to, I don't think they're going to do a great job stopping the pass, right? Because if they're going to let these defenders pin their ears back and go after Cam Rising, then we're going to be able to run the ball. And if they don't do that, then I think we're going to match up well throwing the ball. There was none of their linebackers impressed me with their coverage grades. We all saw them, right? I don't see them stopping our tight ends. And I see Covey working in 100 yards, or at least like 60, 70 yards through little reverses, little screen plays, finding ways to get the ball, maybe getting a nice return or two. So I'm going to make a bold prediction here, guys. I actually think Utah could win this game pretty soundly. I'm going to say Utah wins 31-20 because of the reasons I just said. I don't think they can keep up with us in most of these matchups. And yeah, they have a few elite guys, but it's not enough, dude. I really think we have the better team here. The question is going to be, does Utah's defense come correct? Are they ready to go? And if they are ready to go when this game starts Saturday at 5:30, then we win this game. All right, guys, like I said, make sure you guys show this video to your friends if they like the Utes. Like, comment, and subscribe. Any feedback is appreciated, even if you're kind of a prick. Feel free to reach out. I would love to hear anything else you guys need. I hope the PFF grades, I hope you guys like it this time. And let's go out there and smack those Ducks around this weekend, guys. Go Utes.